Daily Words of God. The starting point for fearing God is to treat Him like God. A little while ago, someone raised a question. How is it that even though we know more of God than Job did, we still cannot revere Him? We touched upon this matter a little bit previously, did we not? We actually have discussed the essence of this question before, too, which is the fact that although Job did not know God back then, he still treated Him like God and regarded Him as the master of the heavens and earth and all things. Job did not consider God to be an enemy. Rather, he worshipped Him as the creator of all things. Why is it that people nowadays resist God so much? Why are they unable to revere Him? One reason is that they have been deeply corrupted by Satan. And with such a deeply ingrained satanic nature, they have become enemies of God. Thus, even though they believe in God and acknowledge God, they are still able to resist Him and place themselves in opposition to Him. This is determined by human nature. The other reason is that despite their belief in God, people simply do not treat Him as God. Instead, they consider Him to be opposed to humanity, regarding Him as their enemy, and feel that they are irreconcilable with God. It is just that simple. Was this matter not broached in our previous session? Think about it. Is that not the reason? You might possess a bit of knowledge of God, but just what does this knowledge entail? Is this not what everyone is talking about? Is it not what God told you? You are only familiar with the theoretical and doctrinal aspects of it. But have you ever appreciated the true face of God? Do you have subjective knowledge? Do you have practical knowledge and experience? If God had not told you, could you know? Your theoretical knowledge does not represent real knowledge. In short, no matter how much you know or how you came to know it, until you attain a real understanding of God, He will be your enemy. And until you actually begin to treat God as God, He will oppose you, for you are an embodiment of Satan. When you are together with Christ, perhaps you can serve Him 3 meals a day, or perhaps serve Him tea and attend to His life's needs. You will seem to have treated Christ as God. Whenever something happens, people's viewpoints always run contrary to God's. People always fail to understand and accept God's point of view. Though people might get along with God on the surface, this does not mean that they are compatible with Him. As soon as something happens, the truth of humanity's disobedience emerges, thus confirming the hostility that exists between humans and God. This hostility is not one of God's opposing humans or of God's wanting to be hostile to them. Nor is it that He places them in opposition to Himself and then treats them as such. Rather, it is a case of this contrary essence toward God that lurks in humans' subjective will and in their subconscious minds. Since people regard all that which comes from God as objects for their research, their response toward what comes from God and toward everything involving God is, above all, to guess, to doubt, and then to quickly adopt an attitude that conflicts with and opposes God. Soon thereafter, they carry a negative mood into disputes or contests with God, going so far as to doubt even whether such a God is worth following. Despite the fact that their rationality tells them that they should not proceed in this manner, they will still choose to do so in spite of themselves, such that they will continue without hesitation to the very end. For example, what is the first reaction some people have when they hear rumors or slanderous talk about God? Their first reaction is to wonder whether these rumors are true or not, and whether these rumors exist or not, and then to adopt a wait-and-see attitude. Then they start to think, "There's no way to verify this. Did that really happen? Is this rumor true or not?" Though people like this do not show it on the surface, in their hearts they have already begun to doubt, and already started to deny God. What is the essence of this kind of attitude and of such a viewpoint? Is it not betrayal? Until they are faced with this matter, you cannot see what these people's viewpoints are. It seems like they are not in conflict with God, and as though they do not regard Him as an enemy. However, as soon as they are faced with a problem, they immediately stand with Satan and oppose God. What does this suggest? It suggests that humans and God are opposed. It is not that God regards humanity as the enemy, but that the very essence of humanity itself is hostile toward God. No matter how long someone has followed Him, or how big a price they have paid, and regardless of how they praise God, how they might keep themselves from resisting Him, and even how strenuously they urge themselves to love God, they can never manage to treat God as God. Is this not determined by people's essence? If you treat Him as God and genuinely believe that He is God, can you still have any doubts toward Him? Can your heart still harbor any question marks about Him? There cannot anymore, right? The trends of this world are so evil, and this human race is too. So how could you not have any notions on them? You yourself are so wicked. So how is it that you do not have a notion about that? And yet, just a few rumors and some slander can give rise to such enormous notions about God, and lead to your imagining so many things, which shows just how immature your stature is. Just the buzzing of a few mosquitoes and a few repulsive flies, is that all it takes to deceive you? What kind of person is this? Do you know what God thinks about such people? God's attitude is actually very clear regarding how He treats them. It is only that God's treatment of these people is to give them the cold shoulder. His attitude is to not pay them any attention, and to not take these ignorant people seriously. Why is that? It is because in God's heart, He never planned on obtaining those people who have pledged to be hostile toward Him to the very end, and who have never planned on seeking out a way of being compatible with Him. Perhaps these words I have spoken might hurt a few people. Well, are you willing to always let me hurt you like this? Whether you are or not, everything I say is the truth. If I always hurt you and expose your scars like this, will it affect the lofty image of God you harbor in your hearts?
It won't.
I agree that it will not, for there simply is no God in your hearts. The lofty God that inhabits your hearts, the one you strongly defend and protect, is simply not God. Rather, he is a figment of human imagination. He simply does not exist. Therefore, it is all the better that I expose the answer to this riddle. Does this not lay the entire truth bare? The real God is not what humans imagine him to be. I hope you can all face this reality, and it will help in your knowledge of God.